between the Minnehaha County and City of Sioux Falls Planning Commissions and begin with a few introductory comments. We'll skip the deal about the cell phones. The two planning commissions work together on land use and zoning matters within the rural areas surrounding the City of Sioux Falls. This area is displayed on the screen. Any information and testimonies, after the information and testimony is presented at the agenda item, the members will discuss the matter, and then each planning commission will vote independently to arrive at a decision. Any final action taken on the conditional use permit request will take effect 5 working days following this meeting unless a written appeal of tonight's decision is filed by the county planning office by Monday, December 5th at 5 p.m. In the event of an appeal, the decision will be referred to the county commission and city council for their joint meeting on Tuesday, January 24th. When the joint meeting agenda is completed, the city planning commission will adjourn and the meeting will continue as the county planning commission considers items beyond the joint zoning jurisdiction. This time, the planning commissions will consider the consent agenda. The minutes for the October 24th meeting are included on the consent agenda. Are there any objections from the planning commission members to any item listed on the consent agenda? Either side. Okay, seeing none. Next, I will read each item on the consent agenda. If any member of the audience objects to the item, please raise your hand, and the item will be moved to the regular agenda to allow you to address the commission later in the meeting. So the consent agenda, item number 1 is approval of the minutes of October 24th. Item number 2 is a conditional use permit, 1674, to exceed 1,200 square foot of building accessory, requesting $12,796. And this, the petitioner is Jay Kappenman. Property owner is J&R Company. It's located at 26th and South Dakota 100. Oh, I'm sorry, excuse me.
Regular agenda.
I'm sorry, I breezed right up. That's a regular agenda item. I'm sorry. I was just following like I did with Del Rapids. They only had 2 as well. So we just need approval of the consent agenda for the minutes.
So moved.
Second. Second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
On the city side,
Approval moved?
Second.
got a motion and a second. Any discussion? Signify by saying yes.
Yes.
All opposed, same sign. Pass on the city side.
Thank you. Now we'll move to the regular agenda. The regular agenda, item number 2 is a conditional use permit 1674 to exceed 1,200 square feet of accessory building area, requesting $12,796. Jay Kappenman, again, is the petitioner. Property is owned by J&R Company. It's at 26th and South Dakota Highway 100. And David Heinold will report.
Good evening, Planning Commission. David Heinold, County Planning Department. Conditional use permit 16-74 is a deferral from October 24th. The petitioner has put together a revised site plan. This property is located surrounded by city limits, as you can see. This nearest intersection to this is 26th and Veterans Parkway right here. It's located just around here. There's an old farmstead property right here where the subject area is, according to this site plan. This is the concept plan that was provided since the last Planning Commission meeting that details the buildings that the applicant, what was submitted by the representative, Eric Willitson, what buildings would be removed and what buildings would be moved to accommodate future growth of the property and to accommodate a certain concept layout that they would like to see on this property in the near term. As you can see, some of the larger buildings are located on the property. A lot of the buildings that would be removed, there's a couple older sheds, which I have some pictures that I can show as well, but there's sheds that are a little bit older. The bigger buildings are located right here. These are the buildings that would primarily be the ones that would be planned to be kept by the property owner. And there's a barn located in the middle of the property. There's an existing house that's on the property, which it would have to stay there as the primary residence, because without that, it wouldn't be able to have the accessory buildings or the accessory uses on the lot. And there's another large building over here that has two 16-foot, two lean-to additions on both sides of the building, and then there is a smaller 12-by-16 shed that's located next to the barn. It's mentioned that in conversations with the applicant, there may be some historic value to that building. It's a smaller building itself, only encompasses about 200 square feet. And in addition to that, there's a 30 by 40 building that was, petitioner got a building permit to place that one on the property. It was about 10 years ago, according to what our records have. The petitioner, this concept plan shows that that building would be moved to an area where the petitioner proposes a 40 by 60, which is the requested size, in addition to what is already on the property. So this building would be new. As you see, this is a kind of a clear image. I tried to take the what the applicant's representative and conversations with the applicant and highlight it in better detail, so that the buildings in green are the ones that would stay on the property. As you can see, the bigger buildings there, and then the ones with the X's would be removed from the property. So in total, there's about five buildings with X's on them that would be planned to be removed from the property, and there's the house that would stay there, and then the buildings that would stay, which would encompass the 5 structures that are currently on the lot, the larger buildings plus that one small shed next to the barn. And then this is the location where the applicant proposes to build, or proposes to put, the 40 by 60 new structure on the lot. Just going through some of the images right here. Here's the 30 by 40 structure. This is one of the buildings that would be planned to stay on the property. This is looking right at that location of where the proposed 40 by 60 building would be. As you can see, roughly about right here, there's a shelter belt that goes all the way around the property, or just that farmstead area of where that. This is looking at one of the smaller sheds. This is located along the west, or along where city limits is. So you have all the houses there, and then the backyards are in the background back here. This is one of the older sheds on the property that would be planned to be removed from the property. And this is another one that's located along that property line. It's a smaller shed, like 160 square feet, right next to the backyards in the background. The city limits just to the west of that would be planned to be removed from the property pending the conditional use permit. Here's an image of the house on the lot, which would be the primary residence. This is the barn, one of the biggest structures on the lot that would be planned to stay on the property. This is one of the structures that would be removed from the property, so it's like a 1,200 square foot, in that range. This is an open air shelter that would be planned to stay on the property. Some personal storage with some trailers and things like that. This is one of the buildings that is noted that would be removed from the property. As you can see, the condition. This is looking at both the structures. This one would plan to stay on the property, and this is one that would be removed from the property. It's one of those 5. And this is just looking at a backed up view with the background, more of a picture of what's in the background. As you can see, it's mainly agricultural in the background. And then this is looking towards the east, towards city limits. So you have the petitioner's property is actually over in this area right here, adjacent to the subject property. And in looking at some of this is the nearest property, as you can see, that's located at 3103 South Veterans Parkway, which has a total of 4 buildings that would sum about 12,576 square feet in total accessory building area, which is on approximately a 5-acre parcel. So about the same size as what the area that encompasses where the buildings are located on the subject property. And this is another property, a smaller size, about 1,200 square feet, is located just to the south. This is on 41st Street. There's a little subdivision just north of 41st and Veterans Parkway. And then this is just on the other side, so moving east on the other side of 41st and Veterans Parkway, so on that northeast corner of the intersection there. There's an existing farmstead on the property, but that's in city limits. The property on the other side is not currently. Just going through some of the things that, in discussions with the city, as far as this is a referral, just to accommodate the future growth of the area in order to help mitigate any potential concerns as far as the use of the building for personal storage reasons. Staff finds that there's the existing square footage of what's already out there, the total square footage, that property on 3103 South Veterans Parkway has about 300 square feet more than the requested size, which has been calculated based on discussions with both the applicant and the applicant's representative, and they can clarify on any questions that they have. There would be approximately 2,552 square feet of total building area removed from the property, contingent upon conditional use permit approval, which would bring the total request to 12,296 square feet, with the addition of a 2,400 square foot proposed structure, as mentioned by the applicant. And just going through some of the conditions that have changed since the last time. Staff recommends approval of conditional use permit 16-74 with the following conditions, and I'll just read the main change to condition number 4 is that the 36 by 24 hog barn, 40 by 24 pole building, and 3 small sheds shall be removed from the property prior to construction of the new proposed accessory building, bringing that total that's not to exceed 12,296 square feet as is indicated in condition number 1. So at this point, I'd answer any questions if you'd have them.
Any questions of staff? Yes, go ahead.
You had that one diagram that sort of showed a residential development there with streets and lots. That's not what we're asking to do today, though, right?
No, this is a concept plan that was provided, concept plan about whatever their desire is for future development.
So while they're
not-
showing us this, the buildings that are contemplated, or the building that's contemplated and the ones that are contemplated being kept are just kind of helter-skelter over that acreage.
Yeah, and the these lines are just overlaying on top of their idea of what they would like to see, but this has no reference to what the decision is. It's approved the total square footage of the lot.
Any other questions for staff? That answer your question?
Just real quick, David, that's not the current owner's idea, that's a potential planning idea, that layout.
This was put together by the applicant's representative, Eric Willitson.
Thank you.
Yes, go ahead.
Would that suggest that the intention is to move the buildings that are located on the streets or other parcels that would be part of that future concept development plan?
It's a good question. I think the applicant can clarify on that, but I believe that it wasn't, I mean, it hasn't gotten to the point where they would, because there would be discussions on who would keep what buildings on which the property owners, because this isn't, it's, as you look on the applicant sheet, the property owner is J&R Company, so it's multiple people.
Okay, we'll have the petitioner come forward. Just a minute. Thank you, David.
Thank you.
Come forward and state your name and address, please.
My name is Jake Happeman, and it's 5009 Centennial. So as far as the concept plan was just to kind of help them see how those buildings would sit, but basically, eventually, all the buildings will be removed. The barn, I guess there's a historical thing with the big barn, so I guess there's a whole deal where they may pick that thing up and move it from a historical standpoint. So the other 2 big buildings at this point, until they start developing houses, we'll leave them there. Okay, but what I'm trying to accomplish is knock all these old buildings, get it all cleaned up, put a new building for storage, and then have it done on the acreage that's just east of my house before it gets annexed into the city, because once they annex into the city, that won't be an option. So basically, I just want to clean everything up, put a building on there, So,
Okay, I have a question for you, particularly like, as you mentioned, item number 4, where it says those buildings will be removed before you build new.
correct.
Okay, I just want to make sure you understand that that's, because David kept referring, the plan is to remove. Well, this isn't a plan, this is a requirement.
No, no.
That's a little different than a
No.
plan to remove. Okay.
So, yeah, and as far as, like I told him, as far as if square footage it becomes a big deal, we take the lean-tos off the building. I mean, it's not really that big a deal, so, okay.
Any other questions for the petitioner?
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
So am I to understand you're removing 2,552 square feet worth of building in this proposal? And
400 square
to
feet,
build 2,400, so you're
Right.
actually building less
less
than you're.
than what's already there.
Okay, thank you for clarifying.
Okay.
Any other
Thanks.
questions of the petitioner? Okay, thank you. Okay, anyone else in the audience care to address this matter? Otherwise, we will look to the commission for discussion or a motion. Any further discussion, or do I have a motion?
I move
Yes.
approval.
Okay, we have a move for approval.
Second.
We have a second. Any discussion? Seeing none?
Mr. Chair,
Yes?
you know, inasmuch as this is going to be absorbed into the city, you know, are these buildings that they would want to have in the city, this large storage building? Or, I mean, in 5 years, when this is annexed in, is this gonna
That will
work?
be the city's concerned at that
Yeah,
time.
okay. I'm looking at you guys.
Okay, we have a motion for approval. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. On the city side, or county side, city, you for action.
Commissioners,
Move for approval for the sake of discussion.
Second.
we have a motion and a second for discussion. Discussion.
Well, I think it makes a lot of sense, number one, to start moving this toward something that complies at 1,200 square feet. Not really a huge step toward it, but it is moving in the right direction. Removing 5 pretty bad shaped buildings, putting one in that sounds like it may be actually temporary, depending on the condition of how the rest of this is developed. So I think this makes some sense to me.
I would agree with that, as well as the commitment to remove the properties indicated that are in conflict with the concept plan. As I understood what the applicant was saying, that was the plan in the future.
And to be clear, my motion intended to make part of it the recommendations as suggested by staff.
Thank you, Commissioner. And your second the same?
Yep, I agree with pretty much everything he said. I like the fact that they're adding less than they're taking away. Like he said, they're kind of moving in the right direction. It's gonna sit along that grove of trees. I mean, there's a little shelter there. I think it makes sense.
Very good. Thank you, guys. All right, so we have a motion and a second with the 9 stipulations as recommended by staff. On the city side, all in favor of this signify by saying yes.
Yes.
All opposed, same sign. Motion approved on the city side.
Okay, thank you. That should conclude our business with the city, unless there's new business at all. Okay, that should conclude our meeting. Move for adjournment of the sitting day.
Move adjournment.
Second for that.
Second.
And we, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We'll move, we'll let them get their stuff together.
City side,
And that lever should pop up.
Aye.
we are adjourned.
Thank you.
That should be better. Mine kinda happened too. If I touch it, then it'll drop myself another 6 inches.
So this is where I live.